Hello guys, welcome to this amazing course in web development. Over here, we are going to learn how you can design, create amazing, responsive and beautiful websites from scratch. Yeah, you heard it right. We will be going from the very basics, from how you can add your own tags, create your own links, to how you can make beautiful websites. I'll just give you an idea why you're learning web development or why. So here I'm going to share a few things that could boost your confidence or boost the motivation to learn web development. So as you know, every company or an organization would always have its web page. And who design these web pages? Obviously the web developers. So now if every company has its own web page, so every company would need a web developer to design their web page. So they'll always be in demand and they're always highly paid. Once you learn web development, there are options of freelancing where you can set up your own uh, freelance account and you start freelancing. The important thing about web development is you can show your creativity. If there is a problem which can be solved in a creative manner, you could make a website to it and you can solve the problem. These are the things which could motivate you throughout the course to learn better and be a better web developer. So have you ever wondered how all the web pages you visit are made? Suppose you want to learn about DNA. So what do? You go to your browser and type DNA. You'll see a Wikipedia page over here. So as you can see, there are text, there are pictures, there are links to different other sites. Have you ever wondered how these sites are made? How the links are made available? How the images are put? So this is how web pages would be made or would look like. So we will be learning how you can create such beautiful web pages. So these all web pages are made on the foundations or building blocks of web. This HTML, that stands for Hypertext Markup Language, CSS, that is Cascadian Style Sheet, and JS, that is JavaScript. Don't worry, we'll be going through all of them in very much detail and we'll be understanding the core fundamentals of all of them. HTML would form the body of the web page. Cascadian styling sheets would form the styling or the uh, how do you view the web page or how the web page has been styled, the images has been styled, the font, etc. JavaScript could make your page be more dynamic. So it is very important that you know what you'll be learning from this course, right? So in this particular course, I will be stressing a lot on HTML foundations. I assume that you're a complete beginner to web development. If you already know the concepts, I would request you to watch the video on either 1.5 or 2x so that you can skip a few parts which you know. If you want to start from the beginning, this course would be very much helpful. So we'll be learning about HTML, CSS, JavaScript and a little bit of Bootstrap. I'll be teaching you how you can create your own web pages from scratch as I'll show you how you can integrate various ready to use icons, templates, styles available on the internet to make your web page more beautiful and so that your task would reduce for creating each and every design. And we'll be making a lot of projects in this course. So let's begin this course with a lot of new projects, a lot of new ideas, and a lot more. So how would this course go? So I would not be using the PPT as often or as frequently as possible. I'll just try to avoid using it. Instead, we'll always have a hands-on session where first we'll be understanding the topic. So let us say I'm explaining you about, let us take an easy one. I'll be teaching you about headings. So let us say you want to search up something. Let us say I want to make a cupcake for myself. So what do? I just Google it, how to make a cupcake. So as you can see, there are a lot of websites, right? So I just click on this one. So as you can see, there are headings, right? These headings are the one which your search engine looks for. So suppose you have a web page and how would you make it reach at the top? Because being at the top means you'll be viewed more, right? So the highlighted bold marks which you see over here are the headings. So suppose I want to teach you this, or let us say I want to teach you the image tag. So what I do, I would make you understand the topic through give an example or some sample code or through live demonstrations, something like that. Then we are going to practice project. Yeah, I'm going to make a lot of projects because once we know how to make projects, simple projects itself, I will start with the very basic projects so that once we know how to make or how to create your own web pages, very small web pages, so you have confidence to tackle larger web pages and how to divide each task into smaller tasks and conquer them. Next, after I demonstrate or I'll show you how to make projects, it would be your part or your way of understanding. Then you have to create your own projects based on what you have learned. Suppose I have taught you how to use images. So, and I just show you how to make a small project out of it, like say a photo album, or let us say, no, I've shown you how to like make a gist of all the photos so that it shows all the photos. You can make something creative out of it. Let us say you can make a can make creative things using photos. You can make a cover page, or you can make a letter, or anything what you want, or you can make an album kind of thing where it displays new ideas. Or you can create a you can use your creativity to the maximum level over here. That is what we want to bring it up. And if I suppose, let us say I'm discussing about JavaScript and I show you how to make a calculator, you can do a lot after that. You can make a converter. Suppose if you're familiar with how to convert decimal to binary, binary to gray, all those things would be very much easy. Once I show you the basics, you can make up a very creative and make very good websites. And we'll be learning a little bit of APIs as well. Suppose I want to show or make a weather prediction app or weather app which basically displays the weather using an API. We'll be learning a lot to this course, okay? Now, let us see what how you can get started with it. So you just type Linux replit and you come over here. So this is all the development environment. So here is the place where you run your code and execute your code. So here it will ask you to sign up if you're a new user. Once after signing up, you come over here and hit on this create repl. So as you can see there is a HTML, CSS, JS replit. If you don't get this, just type it over here HTML and you get this particular thing and name it as, let us say today we're just giving the introduction of the course, right? So I just keep it as intro and we create a repo using this. It is going to take some time. So as you can see, it is a very easy way. Instead of installing a lot of dependencies on your system, it would be a very cumbersome process. This is an online version and would make it far more simpler and helpful for you. So as I mentioned you, we'll be learning mainly three components: HTML, JavaScript and CSS. These are the very things which will stay with you till the end of the course. So make sure you're familiarized with yourself in this particular environment. So as you can see, this is a place where we are going to write our code and here is your output. So suppose I just want to change this hello world, right? So we always ask programmers if you we always start with hello world. So let us just make a little bit change today. So I just make it as welcome. So once I make the changes over here, and suppose once you make your changes, you can do two things. That is, one, click on the refresh tab, or you can click run. As you can see, here is the output screen where you're going to view your output. So this is the environment, and I hope you got a brief idea on how this course is going to be. As mentioned before, if I'm a little bit too fast or you feel that I'm going a little bit too fast, there is an option where you can slow down my voice using at play at either 0.75 or 0.5. If you think that I'm going a little bit too slow, you can always increase the speed of the video. And if anytime you feel that I know this thing already, you can increase the speed of the video. And every time you feel that I know I want to learn more about it, or I want to get a better understanding of it, you can play the video at a slower speed, understand the concept, Then start using it in your code and so that you learn from it. I would request everyone that you practice at least 1 to 2 hours in a week. Web development is a very easy thing, but every time you keep forgetting a lot of things in web development. That is why we make use of a lot of code from other places like Bootstrap, where they have a little bit of code. We'll be running through each of them in the further classes, so no worries with that. I hope you like the introduction. In the next class, we are going to start up with the actual course, where we'll be learning a lot, starting from the very basics of HTML. I mean, the core HTML, like how HTML works and how you can use code. So as you can see, even this is a web page. All these things which you see over here have been implemented using these as the backbone or the building blocks. Even whatever you search, suppose you want to search something, let us say I search yeah, how to make a cupcake. Let us say we just go for a few things. As I am interested in computer vision and a lot of stuff, and I just type that. So as you can see, all of these beautiful web pages. So all this can be made by you. Or let us say a little bit more fancier way. Let us say Starbucks website. So everyone has seen Starbucks web page, right? It is one of the most beautiful web pages ever made. And all of this is made possible using those or these core building blocks which I've learned. Doesn't this site look so beautiful? Like you have all these images, all these things. There is a tab where you can choose them. There is a gift option. There's a logo. And how beautiful is it? So this is how you will be able to create such beautiful websites after completing this soon. Thank you.
Guys, welcome back. Today we'll be learning our very first topic. Are you guys all excited for it? We'll be learning how you can start with structuring your website. And structuring your website is done through HTML. Currently we are learning about HTML5 because it's the most recent version of HTML. So what is HTML? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So let's understand what does markup language mean so that you can understand HTML even better. So markup language is a text encoding system of a set of symbols inserted in a text document to control its structure. So if you can understand this, it's better, or let me explain it in a better way. So markup language is a language in which you can make your text appear in different ways. Suppose you want a text to be a heading. So you can provide a symbol to it, making that the entire line to be a heading. So a heading would have characters such as it is a little bit bigger in size, it is a little bit bolder, it is a little bit thicker, or let us say the weight of the font is a little bit more, etc., etc. Let us say you want it to be a paragraph. A paragraph would have characters such as a little bit smaller than the heading. It is not usually bold but can be made bold, etc. So this is all done with the help of markup languages, and HTML is also a type of markup language. So HTML describes the structure of the web page. As mentioned in the start of the video, the HTML is the one in which we add all our text, and this is what the web page would look like or would be rendered according to it. So it is one which adds the structure. Let us say the HTML is the one which defines the heading or etc. And we'll be learning about CSS, that is Cascadian Style Sheet, and that would be adding the various styles to these structure or these headings, paragraph, images, etc. What we'll be learning today. So like HTML basically adds the structure and is the main backbone of all the web pages, as you see. So HTML consists of a series of elements. So as mentioned above, the markup language, we need to specify that this is a heading or this is a paragraph. So these are done with the help of elements. So elements are the one which would be rendered on your web page. We'll be learning about each element individually so that you can understand elements and use them in your web page. So let's hang on tight and go to the elements part. So what are HTML elements? HTML elements tell the browser how to display the context or the content. Let's say you want a line to be heading. So you would use a heading element to display a heading. Let's say you want the line to display a paragraph. So you'll be using the HTML paragraph heading or the paragraph element to display it. There are a lot of a very large number of elements which can be used for their specific purposes. We'll be learning about 3 of these elements in our class today. So guys, are you excited for it? So by the end of this video, I'll show you how you can develop a very small but a very simple web page. So this can be a first web page which you have created all from scratch. So it's very basic, but you have at least created a very unique web page, right? So that would be a great achievement, wouldn't it be? So today we'll be starting off with HTML headings. So as mentioned before, headings are the ones which are very much bold, highlighted, etc. So as soon as you see this page, what is the one which catches your eyes? So that would be HTML headings, right? Or this thing, because that is a little bit bolder, that is a little bit, the color is different, the weights are different, etc, etc. Even the search engine optimization. So as you can see, I head over to this page, and there is an entire page written about why you should use headings effectively and how you should structure your headings. So headings are the one which the user catches his attention on, and even the search engine optimization or SEO will always look for these headings. So it is very much important that you learn how to use these headings in a web page. In today's class, I'll be just showing you how headings will be used, but there is a structure which you need to follow. Suppose there is a very important title, so that would be the H1 heading. So heading starts from H1 to all the way to H6. H1 would have the highest importance, so it would be the font would be very huge, the size or the boldness, etc. would be very huge for H1 heading as compared to H6 heading, which will be nearly equal to paragraph, which we'll be learning in the future. So let's begin using a Linux report, which I taught in the first class, to learn about these headings. So let me get over to this page. As soon as you open, let me create a new report for that. Let me keep it as HTML CSS, and let's keep it as lesson 1. Lesson 1, and I hit on create repl. So now, and it's done, I guess. Yeah, it has already created a repl for me. Okay, so let's start. So let me just delete all of them so that you can have a fresh way or just understand everything from scratch, right? So that in that way everything you understand or everything you write would have a meaning to it. Okay, I have deleted everything. So let us start off the very basic thing. I add a index.html. Always remember, every web page would always have 3 things. 1, the home page, or it's also called as index.html. 2, the style.css, which will be used to styling this particular web page or any web page as common. And 3, the script.js, that will be used to add a little bit dynamics to your web pages. So let me just create an index.html, and it's done. Okay, so yeah, so it's done. Let me start with the doc type. So this is the document type HTML. That is what you're going to write first. There's a little bit of vulgar code which I will be not showing you guys right now, but I'll be teaching that in the future classes. So let's now try to understand the very basics. So as just now I showed you how the heading tags work, right? So let me take H1 heading, and let me just copy this so it is easier rather than typing it all the time. Give me a second. Yeah, let me just copy the heading once. Yeah, so H1 is this big. Let's say H2, and I just add this, and I click run. So as you can see, the size keeps on reducing, and let me do this a couple of times, that is for each of the H1s. So let's do it for H3 as well. Instead of rendering it each time, let me just do it again for h4, h5, and h6. Should I go even further? No. Those are the maximum number of headings which you can have in your web page. So let me just render for you. Let me just check it once. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I not missed on anything, fingers crossed, everything's right. So let me just run. So as you can see, it has found a type of a pyramid. Let me just try running hit 7 if you had an idea what it would give. Let me just hit run, hit 7 headings. What do you think can this give us? Would it be visible on screen? No, as you can see, it has taken it as a paragraph or a normal paragraph and stuff, because head 6 is the last thing which you'll be running. So heading 1, as you can see, the boldness, the height, the width, or the font size keeps on reducing by using different different headings. So this is how you can use headings in your web page. So in this web page, they have showed you how and why you should be using headings. So it is called Yoast. You can check over this page, SEO for everyone, and how to use headings on your site. So in this site, you can see how it is important and how it is very much important to structure your headings. And they have mentioned a way in which you can add headings, which is just now how I have taught you guys. So that's done. So I hope you understood headings. Now let's come to the next part of your web page. So you have your heading ready. So what would be next? In grammar, at least, if you come to the very basic grammar, as soon as the heading, you write a paragraph, or let us say you write a description about it, right? So what it is called? It's called a paragraph. And HTML, when it was created, the users or the creators of HTML made it so simple that H stands for heading, P would stand for paragraph. So let's learn about the next one, that is HTML paragraph. The HTML paragraph defines a paragraph. The HTML P tag defines a paragraph. Always remember that most of the tags in HTML would always have a closing tag. It's not necessary for each element to have a closing tag, but most of the elements would always have a closing tag associated to it. Oh, it's okay. So let us understand what does a paragraph mean. So let me just do it over here itself. So let me just write P and let us say, hey, I am a paragraph. So now you can see, hey, I'm a paragraph. So as I mentioned earlier, the head 7 looks like it is the same as the paragraph tag. Yeah, it is the same as the paragraph tag. So we have learned two things right now, right? In the future classes, I'll be teaching you how you can, like add colors, or let me just teach you guys. Let me just give you a hint of what I'm saying. Let us say I want to style this heading with, with something like color to be blue. Black wouldn't make a difference, so blue. It's blue now. So this is the style which you're giving. I'll be teaching you in the future about various styles in which you can apply, but now, as you can see, it is a bit more different, right? You can play around with this. You can give different colors for different headings. You can do the same thing for this as well. Let me just copy this paragraph. Yeah. Let me just style this thing as well. Give me a second. Yeah. And I hit run. Hey, now it's looking better, isn't it? You can add different colors with what you like. Suppose you're a person who likes red, the headings should be very bold and red. You can add, or just make it as a red. Let me just show you how to do it. Just change the color to red and hit run. Now it's looking more like a heading, right? So now we have understood two important topics. One, the heading. Two, the paragraph. So both of them are very much important in every web page where you visit. No matter what's the web page you go, there will be three things, or let's say 3 to 4 things, which should be common to all the web pages. So one, the headings. Each web page would always have a heading. Two, the description of the paragraph. So every page would obviously have a paragraph associated with it. Three, it's one of the most important things in a web page, images. So as soon as a user visits a web page and there is an image, the user's attention is all towards the image. That's why many of the web pages have images associated with them, because humans have a tendency to look at images and the attention is more focused towards it. So let's learn about that. The HTML images. The HTML images can improve the design and appearance of a web page. The HTML is an image img tag and used to embed an image in a web page. The img tag has two attributes. Okay, instead of saying it img, let us just call it the image tag. It feels or it sounds a little bit better. Yeah, one important thing to note about the image tag is that it doesn't have a closing. It doesn't have a closing tag. Like see, headings, as you saw, has a closing tag, right? There is a h1 opening tag over here, and there is a closing tag over here. But images, on the other hand, don't have a closing tag. Very much important. Keep this in your mind. So attributes. We'll be learning attributes in the future, but let's focus on the two things image tag would have. One, it would have the src, that is the source, or specifies the path from where you'll be importing your image to the website. Alt, which also stands for alternative. Suppose the image is not being able to be displayed on the browser. Suppose the browser is not compatible with that. Or let's say the link from where you copied the image is not there anymore. So at this particular time, the Alt tab would show an alternative. We'll be learning about this now with a live demonstration, okay? So let's say I want to add an image over here. What image do you guys like? Let's say I want to add an image of basketball. I don't know why it came, but basketball seems to be a very good sports and I like basketball. You can add whatever you like. So let's say image src equal to, as mentioned before, src, you put the source of the image. Let's say I want to search something, right? And let me just open my Google and type in basketball. One of the recent match. Yeah, this looks like a very good image. Okay, so I just right click on the image and just copy the image address. I come back to my Replit, paste in the image address over here inside the src. Make sure that the image address is between the quotes. Okay, always. Okay, this looks like a huge address to me. Wait, is it that huge? Okay, let me just change this thing and let us get a better, cleaner image if possible. Wait, let me try this thing out. Copy image address. Let me paste it over here. Oops, looks like all the image addresses are huge for some reason. Let us look for a simple one. If we can, look for a simple one. This looks also very good. Let me just see if I can get the image address of this. Copy the image address. Yeah, copy the image address. Let's see if this is a little bit smaller or what. Yes, finally something which is smaller. Yeah, it doesn't have a closing tag, but it does have a closing arrow mark like this. So let me run. Yay! As you can see, there is a web page over here which has headings, images, and a paragraph. Doesn't this page looks very good rather than, okay, it has a lot of changes to be made, but you kind of are getting the idea of how web pages are made, right? Suppose this image wouldn't have rendered. Let's say I just missed something over here. Let's say I have missed a few things in the URL making the image undetectable or something, like unrenderable. Let's say I have removed a few things like this, and now I play running this thing. So as you can see, it's displaying a box kind of thing, right? And you don't want the user to do this. This can happen if the browser is unable to, like show that. So this can be solved using ALT, which means an alternative. So I'll be providing an alternative saying that it is a basketball. Now let's try running this. As you can see, it will be showing basketball. So this is very much helpful when you can't, like the browser fails to recognize your image or the link is broken, so that the user at least knows that there is an image missing of a basketball over here. So now you guys might have understood about three things, right? Let's have a quick recap. So we understood about headings, that how headings work and why they are so much important. We understood about paragraphs. We understood about images. Now, with these three things in mind, let's make ourselves a small web page. So, you guys ready? Yeah, I have taken a lot of your time, but I will make it as short as possible, and you will be gaining your first web page from this. So, let's get into it. So, let me just delete this and okay, let me keep it over here so that you can know about this. Okay, let me just create a new one and let me just call it let me just keep it my first page dot html. So as mentioned before, we'll first add the doc type to be html. Next we are going to, okay, how do you guys want this web page to look like? That's very much important, right? So let's start with that first. Okay, so let me just give it h1. So let's say I'm designing a page for a beautiful tree. Let's say this is let's say the heading to, let's say it to be a tree or something. Let's say this is a tree, and let's say, let me just put in a paragraph saying that I love playing around the tree. Oops, a typo over here. Around the tree, it makes me remind of my childhood. You guys can fill up whatever you want. Okay, this should be enough. Let's say I'll teach you another trick over here. Let's say you have an image. Rather than a trick, I would say how to use an image. So let's say you have an image in your downloads folder and you want that to be over here, right? So how do we do that? That is very simple. So first download an image which you want. Let's say, wait, we just look just an image regarding trees. Okay, no worries. I just download an image from here. I just search a tree image. Choose whichever is beautiful and whichever looks good for you. I think this would rather remind me of my childhood. So now let me just show you. Let me just download this. So save image as. I just save the image. Just make sure yeah, okay. This is a tree image. Click on save. Now let me just come to my replit. Okay, here it is. Now I thought about image, right? Image src equals. Okay, now how to find the path, or how to find this path? So first you got to upload this here. So upload a file. You come over here, and it was in my desktop. Make sure you know where you're saving it always, and click on open. Okay, now it has been done. Alright, let me just, it's over here itself, tree.web app, and alt is equals to, it's a tree. Yay! Let me just close this. Click run. Oh, it's waiting, it's running, it's running, it's running. Okay, wait, doesn't it run? Should I delete this? Now let's click run. What does it give us? Okay, we have to name it as index.html. Make a note of this, guys. Always make a note of it. And I didn't expect this to happen. Now let's run this. A tree. So as you can see, we got a heading, we got a paragraph. You can guys always write as much as you want, and we got a beautiful tree. So this is how websites are really made. Websites can be a little bit complicated, but the basic is the headings. You'll be using paragraphs, you'll be using images, and a lot of other features which you'll be learning throughout this course to make beautiful web pages. So make sure you practice the same at whenever you're free. So the three things which you have learned is the headings, paragraph, and images. But obviously you can make simple pages out of it. I hope you had a very good time, and thank you. See you soon. In the next class, we'll be learning about a lot of different new things. This is a quick demo on how to install and run Visual Studio Code. Many people will be facing the internet issues that they can't run their code using Linux replit, and when you get into an industry, you'll be mostly using Linux. You'll not be using Linux replit. Instead, you'll be using VS Code because that is the industry standard. So let's begin on a quick demo session how to get things done and ready. I just start Google Chrome. You can open any browser you want and just type in VS Code. So this would be the link, or this would open the first link which would appear over here. The VS Code is taking my operating system. You could have a different operating system. You could have Windows or Linux. I have a Mac operating system, so it is taking the Mac operating system. Okay, now over here select whatever operating system you have and click on the stable build. You would always choose the stable build because it would be much, as the name goes, it is very much stable. Okay, so I hit on downloads. I already have it in my desktop, so I wouldn't download it again. So I just cancel this. Once it's downloaded, you have to just if you're a Windows user, just double tap on it and it would start running. You have to click yes for a few terms and conditions. Same goes for Mac, and in Mac you have to just drag and drop it to the application option. Once it is done, you'll be seeing something like this pop up. Okay, from here I'm going to teach you what all you have to do. Over here you have to just go and open, let's say come to file, and you're going to open a folder. So I already have a folder for a few projects according for this session. I open the project. Okay, let me just start with something new. As you know, always it starts with index.html for the web developers. Okay, where is it? Yeah. Okay, I already have one, so let me name it as index1.html. Okay, good. Okay, a quick tip over here. So just write HTML5 HTML5. Wait, choose HTML5 and hit enter on that, and voila, see, you get all the boilerplate code by default. I'll be teaching about meta tag and the title, head, body, etc. in the future classes, but this is a very cool extension from VS Code where you get all the boilerplate code. You have to not manually type all of them. So let me just type in head1 tag, which we just learned in the previous class. Let's say hello. Now let me just run this. So for running this, you have to just find that it's in the desktop and it's under projects. So it's one.index.html. I would run it with, yeah, let it run with Safari, no issues. Okay, you can see that there is hello, right? But suppose you want to keep making changes and look how your file would look like. That would be a very tedious task. I'll be giving you a quick like a very handy tool for that. Just go to this extensions bar and click on live server. This extension, just click on this install and it would be installed. This is a very good extension you'll be using a lot. So by this extension you need not run, or like you have to not always go refresh the page or something like that. The live server would do it automatically for you. So for running this type of file, right click on that and wait, yeah, right click on that and click on open with live server. Okay, so as you can see, it has opened up. Now let me place them side by side in split window, so I can just show you what I meant. So we have learned about paragraph tag, right? So wait, so you don't need to refresh or anything, it automatically does all the work for you. Let me just give you another demo. Just come over here, it automatically refreshes. So this is a very handy tool which you can have, so that every time you don't need to come refresh your tab or you open the page again and again. It's completely free. So do check this out, and I hope this demo is very much helpful. Thank you and see you in the next session. Hey guys, welcome back. Today let's start with a quick recap of the session we had earlier. So in the previous session, I explained you about a few things. Let's start with how you got your very first web page built, right? So I hope that everyone tried building their very first web page using three simple tags which I had said you. One, the heading tags. So if you guys remember, do you guys remember there are H1 to H6 heading tags. So each one depends upon the size and the boldness of the text. Next, we learned about paragraph tag. The paragraph tag is where you are going to write about the headings. The last but the very important tag which we had learned was the image tag. The image tag helps you to add images. One special thing about image tag is that it is an empty tag. We'll be learning about the empty tag in the future classes, or hopefully today. So what is empty tag? Empty tag is a tag which doesn't have a closing tag. So what do I mean by this? So when we learned about image tag over here, so we just add the starting of the tag and we don't use a ending image tag. So I'll just take back to the session which we had. So over here, as you can see, the h1 has a h1 closing tag, but when we try to add images, we just make it as img. If you remember, src, here we are going to put this source and we are going to put the alternative text and close. So there is no closing tag for the image tag, making it a unique type of tag called empty tags. We'll be learning about it in the class soon. Okay. So today I'll be teaching you about a very important topic called as HTML structure. So
To be a very good web developer, your code should be readable to all the web developers if you're working in a company. So that one, making your code structure, making your code very much structurable makes it such that you can understand where and what changes have to be made, and your code is going to look very much organized. The second important thing, if your code is very much structured, is that if there is another team which is working and they want to search up something, they know where to look for. Okay, so let's begin understanding by breaking down the HTML structure. The first line, that is doc type HTML, says that this is a HTML version 5 which we are using, and the doc type is HTML. Next we have the HTML tag. So HTML is the root tag inside which you're going to place all your HTML code. So inside HTML we have the head tag. So the head tag is the tag which contains very much important things, that is a meta tag, which is basically a tag which contains additional information. We'll be learning about meta tag in just a moment. And next, the very important one called title tag. So in this title we are going to mention the title of our web page. For example, if I just okay, wait, I'll just show you what I mean by this. I just go to tab. Okay, here you can see this is a PPT which has a title over here, basically Google Slides. So this is where your title is going to be, and you can add very much important stuff in the head tag, guys. The Cascadian styling sheets, the CSS part can be added in the head, and all the linking which you're going to do, that is links for the style sheets, link for the scripts, all that should be done in the head tag. So that is about the head and the title tag. Next, the very important one is the body tag. So anything inside the body tag is what is going to be rendered on your web page or displayed on your web page. So this plays a very important role, that you place everything inside your head, inside your body. So here it's just basically a one heading and a paragraph, and here we're going to close the body tag, and make sure you always close this root HTML. The web page would try to auto make it, but it's a good practice to close the root HTML everywhere. So that is one thing. So let me just try to code this and show you guys. We're going to start with basically creating a new lesson. So it is our second session, right? So it is session 2.html. Let me just make you guys understand what I meant by all of them. HTML. Okay, so everyone knows about how to use the shortcut keys, right? So just type HTML and select the HTML file. This is very much helpful when you're working with HTML basically. So the boilerplate is automatically brought into your VS Code over here. Okay, so let me just give you a quick view of meta tag before explaining all this, so that you can understand what I mean by meta tags easier. So in the PPT I have made sure that each one has a description of that. Make sure you go through these things once. You can pause and take a screenshot, or you can just pause and view them once. You won't be, once you get understand to the HTML structure, you won't be needing to repeat all of them. So doc type specifies the version. HTML is the root element where all the HTML code or the HTML elements goes inside. Next we have the head, which contains the meta information and the title and the links. The title contains the title of the web page. Then body, everything inside body is the thing which gets rendered, and which we had learned before. We had learned about h1 and paragraph tags. So guys, we'll be learning about meta tag now. Meta tag is very important. A meta tag is used to provide additional information. Suppose the browser wants to know what type of characters that you're using. This can be achieved by meta tag. So you just write meta charset UTF-8. Meta also does a lot of extra things. Suppose you want to make sure that the screen which you're working in changes according
to the width of the device which you're viewing. So let us say you're watching this on a laptop and now you want your web page to look the same good, uh, beautiful way on a mobile phone or an iPad or anything. So you would make use of this command, which basically says meta name is viewport, that is what's the viewport going to be, and you're going to set the content to width equals to device width. Initial scale is equals to 1.0. So initially it will be 1.0, but as the device changes, you're going to make changes such that the width is equals to width of the device which you're viewing. So this is a very good functionality of the meta tag. So I hope that you understood meta tag now, because I'll be showing you a hands-on demo on how these two things matter a lot when you're building a web page. Okay, so here, as I said, the doc type version HTML inside I'm specifying about attributes. I'm specifying an attribute saying that the language I will be using is English. We'll be discussing about attributes in the future classes, so no worries. Now it's basically language lang is equals to English. The meta, which is providing additional information, so the meta character set is UTF-8. The HTTP equivalent is XUA compatible, content is edge. So these things I'll be explaining it in the further classes what these mean. I hope you guys understood this one, that's name viewport, content is width is initially. Okay, now let's start by writing h1 saying that hello, welcome to session 2 of the course. And let's add a small paragraph to it. As you can see, the tags which have an ending tag would automatically be provided by the Visual Studio Code. Let's type in something like, hey, welcome, how are you guys doing? Are you able to understand? Understand well. Now, let me just run this using the very easy way which I taught you guys in the previous demo video of Visual Studio Code. I just open with live server. So it's going to open over here. So guys, okay, now the web page has been loaded. So I was talking about the very important meta tag, right? So over here, as you can see, I slightly decrease the size of the screen. Now the course has come down and everything like this. Now if I just increase, it automatically like resizes the window. This is very important feature, as this makes sure that all of your images or all of your important tags load in a particular manner without depending upon the screen size. So if you shift your websites from like screens, mobile, you don't know how the people would be accessing your web page, right? So this feature makes sure that your page appears same on most of the all of the devices in which people would be viewing them. So guys, next we'll be learning about a topic. So this topic many of the people ignore it, but this is a topic. If you are a programmer or you have been a programmer, you know how useful comments are. So comments, one, make your code more readable to yourself if you're viewing it after days or months. Two, you don't need to delete part of the code, you just have to comment them out, and whenever you need them, it is still there for you. All you got to do is uncomment it. So comments in HTML play a very important role. So let's understand the syntax of the comment. The syntax of the comment starts with an opening arrow mark, and then you're going to put an exclamatory mark followed by two hyphens, and whatever the content is, whatever it may be, it goes inside that, and then you're going to close with two hyphens and closing arrow mark. So remember this, it is the same for single line and multi-line comment. So I'll just show you the beauty of comments by just giving you an example over here. So let's say I just want to hide my heading. So what I do, just doing this, exclamatory mark, 1, 2, and end it with the same way. Now, as you know, this line has been commented, but it is still there for you to view, but it won't be rendered in the web page. This is a very beautiful feature. Guys, you make sure that you make complete use of the comments, where you have to comment about the code so that other people can understand, read about other people. You yourself would be very much, like, you'll be knowing what I have done over here. Comments are very helpful, and this is how another way in which you can use comments. Okay, now the comments has been done. Now let us go to the next important topic. So these topics you won't be the PRE, the preserve tag, is a tag which you will not be using more often, but it is a tag which you might require sometimes. So PRE, the preserve tag, is a tag which helps you to preserve the white spaces. So what I mean by that, let me just show you over here. Now I just enter over here. So for you as a developer, you can see there is a gap from over here to here. But even if I refresh my web page over here, you can see there is still no gap over here. So the white spaces is not being preserved. So let me just make it change over here, change the paragraph to preserve, and here, yeah. So as you can see, wait, let me just zoom in. Can you guys see? Yeah, now I guess you can see. Now the distance or the white spaces has been preserved. So this is a very handy feature where you want the text aligned in a very particular manner in which you want. So you can use the preserve tag for this. Next tag is the BR tag. Okay, what is BR tag? The BR stands for the break in line. BR tag is important in a lot of features or a lot of things where you use inline elements. We'll be talking about the inline elements in the future classes. Basically, all the elements which are, suppose the elements such as body, inside the body you have paragraph, or like you have headings. These are block elements. They take up the entire width of the screen, like entire thing. Suppose, what I mean by that, let me just give you an example. I just write a paragraph over here saying that good morning, and I add another paragraph over here saying that have a nice day. Okay, so as you can see, uh, although there is space over here, over here as well, it always renders in the next line. So these are basically inline block elements. Block elements take up the entire left and right of the screen, and inline elements are those which just don't take up the entire screen. Example maybe span, which you'll be learning in the future classes, but just understand what do you mean by block and inline elements. So block elements take the entire left to right the screen, and inline elements just take whatever over here. So next, what am I going to do? Let's try to understand the BR tag which we're learning about. Let's take another one. Be saying that, let's say, did you have your breakfast? Now I just want a line gap over here. Over here I just put br and say yes, I had my breakfast. So as you can see, it has gone to a new line over here. BR is a empty tag. Empty tags are those tags which doesn't need a closing tag. So as you can see, all the tags which still we have learned except for the image tag are complete tags. So P starts with the opening tag and ends with an empty tag, but BR is a empty tag, which basically means that it doesn't have an ending tag. So it has done its job. It has moved it to the next line. So guys, these are the topics which I wanted to cover. So in this video or in this session, we had learned about very important things, starting off with HTML structure. Next, we understood about the meta tag, how important it is and what role it plays. Next, we understood about comments, the how you can use comments in your code and how it is helpful for you as a developer to know how to use comments. Next, we learned about the preserve and BR break tag. So both of them are very much important. And in the next class, we'll be learning about attributes. Attributes, in a sense, attributes are very important topic. So in the next session would be very much interesting, and I hope everyone has fun. And we'll also be learning about block elements, inline elements, which I just said you about in details. And we'll be learning about very important things. We'll be learning how you can render fractions, etc., in your web page. So over here, if I just try to like render a fraction, let's say in a paragraph I want to render 1 by 4 over here. As you can see, it looks like this. It doesn't look like a fraction. There is a way in which you can get actual fractions. So I'll be teaching you about that and a lot more in the next class. So guys, before you come to the next class, always try to like recap before that. We learned whatever I just reminded you what we learned. Next class we are going to learn more in detail about them. So thank you for this class. See you soon. Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going to cover a few topics in HTML. But before heading to that, let's have a quick recap of what we had learned in the previous one. In the previous session, we had learned about the preserve and the break tag. The preserve tag preserves white spaces and the break gives a line of break. So this is how you can use preserve tag and this is how you're going to use the paragraph tag. I hope you remember those examples which I had given and you had practiced those yourself. Next, we learned how important comments are and how they can be used by the programmer to debug and make use for the other programmer to understand the code in a better manner. Then we learned about how we can provide additional information by the use of meta tags and how meta tags are important in the use of the view and how you can adjust it automatically adjusts the screen size according to the width of the device. And about the HTML structure. This is very much important on how the HTML structure is going to be. First, we are going to start with doc type, HTML, head. Inside head is the title of the web page. Then the body, and inside body you are going to add all of your details, all of your content, and next you are going to close the body and you are going to close the HTML tag. Note that all of this need not be by hearted. Once you start developing your own websites, it would automatically be structured in this manner, or as I mentioned earlier, you can always use the extension over here. Let me just increase the screen size for you guys so that it's visible for all. I hope now it is even visible to everyone. Yeah, I guess now it's completely visible to all the devices which you might be using. So suppose I don't know what is that. I don't know what are the how the structure is. What I'm going to do is type HTML and choose HTML5. the Visual Studio Code would automatically give me a structure like this. So once you start developing your own web pages, you don't need to worry about all this boilerplate code. So that was our recap, guys. Now it's a time to get to the actual part of today's session. In today's session, we are going to conquer these things. Okay, they might look a lot, but trust me, each of them have a very important role when you're like trying to become a very good web developer, especially a front-end web developer, because all of these tags help in making your web page look more attractive and beautiful. At the same time, the last one, the list, if you have ever visited any web page, you surely would be knowing how many lists could be there. A list could be a list of items, it could be a list of like how a recipe could be done. Lists are basically everywhere, so knowing how to add a list in your web page is very important. So first let us start with attributes. What are attributes? So in general terms, what do you mean attributes? Suppose I have a chocolate, or let's say I have a let's take an example of a chocolate. Can you list a few attributes of a chocolate? So basically attributes are like features, right? So there are three types of attributes in HTML. We will be concentrating only on the two important attributes, that are the core attributes and the generic attributes. The data attributes are important, but they won't be used much when you're actually developing web pages, so I would kind of ignore them for the time being. We'll be coming back to that. First, let us start off with the core attributes. Core attributes are those attributes which are common for all. Uh, like every class or every like every tag, this attribute can be used. Example, the ID. You want to give an ID to the tag, or you want to specify a class to the tag. All of this is common to all of the classes, or all of the tags which you will be using. So there is called core attributes. Next is generic attributes. Generic attributes are specific for that. For example, if you're using an image, only then you're going to use a src attribute. Or if you're using an suppose you're using a video, then you're going to use the width, height. Or if you're using an image, or if you're using a text, you're going to use align. So these are attributes which are tailored for only the HTML, like only for those HTML tags which have these specific attributes. A little just on the data attribute, it's like you provide additional information by using data attributes. It won't be seen to the user, but it will be seen to the developer who's using that. Okay, next topic. As mentioned in the earlier stages, there are two types of elements in HTML. One, block elements, and two, inline elements. Okay, now let us understand what do these fundamentally mean. What does a block mean? A block is basically like the entire left to right space. So block cover elements are those elements which cover up from the leftmost part to the rightmost part of the entire page. A few examples are over here: the address, h1, h6, p, etc. So if you want to, I'll just show you a live example. Let me just type in a heading, right? That would give you a better idea. Let me say this is heading 1, and now let me just add a heading 1 over here, a h2 over here, and write it as heading 2. Now before I hit refresh, what do you guess could be the output? The heading could be side by side, or do you think it will be one below the other? So I hope you made your guess. As just now I said, it contains h1 is basically a block element. I'll just show you over here. As you can see, headings are block elements. So if I just hit refresh, now although they are in the same line, you can see that heading 1 is on a single block and heading 2 is on a different block. So these are basically in block cover elements. Okay, Now let us understand what do you mean by inline elements. Inline elements are those elements in which there is no left to right. It just basically covers only that particular place. This is mostly used for styling in the sense span. We'll be coming to CSS after we complete our basics of HTML. I'll just give you an example of what they mean by this. Suppose I just want to add span class and let's say span class is equals to held, and I close this over here. Mm, okay, I guess you're not able to see. 1 second, give me a second. So the main problem with this is that yeah, now I guess you guys can see better. Yeah, so heading h1, heading h2, and I've added a span over here with a class head, and let me just give it a style, a little bit of style. Let me just give a color and let it be aquamarine. Okay, now see, there is a span tag over here, right? If you can, over here there is a span class tag. So as you can see, the heading ADING has not gone down, it's still under over here itself. So this is how the block, that is the block level elements and inline elements work. So I guess you had a view of how what they are and how you can differentiate them. That could be an important question if you are attending an interview, that give me an example of block level elements and inline elements. In HTML, most of them are block level elements. A few like span are inline elements. Next, this topic now, it is not very important, but if you're working with mathematical types of web pages, or if you're dealing with web pages which are like specific for mathematics or tailored for mathematics, this could be very handy. Suppose I want to display let us say I want to use the symbol that is 3 by 4, or let me just say I want to like show the fraction 3 by 4, and if I just do this, and if I just put a p tag and say 3 by 4, do you think, yeah, it would come with this, which is not the way I want. I want it in a form of a like a proper fraction. So how do we do that? So that is very easy. So first what you're going to do, you're going to put and frac 3 4. Now it looks way better, right? So this can be seen in many web pages. If you head through many mathematical web pages, you can use a lot of symbols like this. I have given a table where you can go through this and you can start using them. If you are working on web pages which require you to use symbols or which require you to use character entities like these, you can go with them. The most commonly used one which I would prefer is basically &NBSP. That basically provides a space like this. So wait, I'll give you a better demonstration of that. Let me say fraction equals to, now you can see a small space over here. Let me just remove this and show it to you guys. If I remove &NBSP and I do this, you can see that it just moved a little bit, and I just undo it, and now this. In most of the cases when you're styling and all of that, &NBSP gets the job done, so that is important.
And other things, you can obviously go to this table, and you don't need to remember all of this. Anytime you need them, you can go online, search for character entities, and you'll be getting that. Okay, cool. Now let us finish off all of them and come to the very important, the list part, as soon as possible, and I will try my best not to get you guys bored until then. Formatting and font tags. These tags again are important, and remembering them might be a little bit tricky, but I'll just give you a way in which you can remember them easier. So see, first starting off with B. What you want to bold a text. It starts with B, so bold. So bold text, done. So how does this work? Let me just show you an example. Now this fraction is not bold, and I want to make it bold. So what I do, I add a B over here and a closing B at the end. Now you can see the fraction before. Now this is a fraction which has been bolded. Let me just undo what I did right now, so you can make out the difference. Now this is not a bold fraction. I hope so. The bold fraction part has been done. Now let's come to the center part. So center basically centers the, as the name suggests, it basically centers the part, or it may be even the, what do you say, the text. It may be an image, it can be anything. It would center it in a manner like this and like this. Wait, I hope so. Now you guys can. Now the fraction has been centered. So these are the things. I makes it italic, EM makes it emphasized, mark would mark the element or highlight the element. You can always do them over here. Italics, as you know, let me just make it italics. Now italics. Next mark would make it mark, small would make the character small. Del, the elements defines text at one been deleted from the document browser. Inserts, okay, all of them, just have a look and go through. Once we actually start implementing projects, we would be using them a lot, especially the superscript and subscript. This thing, as I mentioned earlier, let me just give you an example how these work. Let me just make a p tag over here, and let's say I want 2 square, so it's like 2, and next you're going to use the superscript, add sup, that 2. Now you can see that 2 is about 2, that is be 2 square. Suppose I want a subscript, let us say I want x. You're marking a coordinate system. In the coordinate system, the x1 would be down. So let me just put a p, x, and I put a sub. If guys, can you just look back and say what type of tag is sup? Try to recall it by the time I just do this, and let me just put 1, and here it's down. If you had guessed it as a block level tag, sorry, you're wrong. Just now, before I explain that, these tags which doesn't break the line or doesn't break the entire right to left are called as inline tag elements. Inline elements. So these are inline elements or inline element tags. Now this is an important thing. Suppose you want to display code. Yeah, this happens sometimes. Suppose you're writing a documentation for a web page or documentation for a company, and you want to display a code. So how do you do that? Basically, code, everything is in a format in monospace, and usually you're displaying the code in a consistent manner. How the code would look like in Visual Studio Code. Let me just demonstrate you with a quick example. Let me just it is called code, and I just write let me say, are you guys interested in machine learning? Because I feel that's the future. Well, it's not going to take, I'm not going for the linear that it's going to take over the world, etc. But it's very cool, and I'm currently working on many projects on that where it can detect images, where it can, it detect me as specifically not as a person, but if you train it on my data set or something. Okay, now you can see that machine learning. I'll just give you an example. Now this is code. What's the difference between this and, let me just give you a little bit more example. Wait. There are a few things in machine learning. You can remember weights, you can remember about hyperparameters, etc. Now let me just do the same thing using the paragraph tag. See, now you can make out the difference between the code and the paragraph. The M machine learning all are in a normal format. They are not in the, you can make out the difference, right? How the words and text are, and how they are aligned, and how they look. This is the power of the code tag. It is very helpful when you're working with when you want to display code in your web page. I'd explained about superscript and subscript. This is a way in which you can use them. Okay, another important interview question if you're going for an interview. Can you give examples of empty tags? Empty tags are those tags which doesn't have a closing bracket or doesn't have a closing tag. So here, as you can see, everything starts with h1, starts with h1 and ends with h1. P starts with P and stops with a slash and a P. But there are few tags where you won't be using the closing bracket. We had an example of this in the second lecture. I had said about a tag which is an empty tag. Any guesses? Yeah, the break tag or the BR tag. If you had observed, the BR tag doesn't have a closing bracket. So that is an example of empty tag. There are a few more examples like link, image, HR, meta, source. I will let you know about the link, HR and source soon. I hope you are familiar with break, image and meta tag. HR is basically like a horizontal line. If I just want to add a horizontal line over here, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to add HR, and you can see that the horizontal line is added automatically. Now it's looking like more like math equations, isn't it? Our web page is looking like fractions, squares, etc. And this looks like division for some reason. No worries, we'll make it much more beautiful in the upcoming videos. Okay, finally, now this, pay 100% attention. This is going to be your bread and butter when you're going to work with everything. So let me just clear all of this. I hope you had everyone has taken a screenshot or however you want to practice this. Let me just quickly remove all of this. In fact, let me just remove everything. Let me just keep it completely basic, as how the Visual Studio Code would give you when you're starting a new web page. 100% attention. Lists are very, very important. I give you a real world example of list. Let me just say a list of over here it's currently in the month of March, April, and mangoes are over here. Or let me just give you a list of 5 best movies. That would be interesting. I wanted to see how movies are going on. Okay, IMD is going to put me top 250. Okay, over here, as you can see, all of them are list 1, 2, 3. Do you think a person would manually sit and put 1, 2, 3, 4? No, that's humanly impossible, right? So we make use of lists so that it automatically does the job for us. Well, these web pages would be in a different manner where you can just input the data and it automatically puts 1, 2, 3 and the data. But for now, let's try to mimic a web page, right? Let's say I want to mimic this page itself. Why not? Let me just try to mimic this page. Okay, first we're going to understand a little bit.
There are three types of list in HTML. One, it's called unordered list, where it's basically breakpoints and there is no order. Next is the ordered list or a numbered list, where as you see over here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And next there is a description list or definition list. Uh, we will be mostly using or sticking to this unordered list and ordered list. A description list or definition list is important but not used as compared to the popularity of UL and OL. In this video, as it's getting already lengthy, I'm going to basically teach you how to use an ordered list and an unordered list, and in the next video I'm going to teach you how you can style and how you can make changes to make this list even more better. So starting off with an ordered list, because here it's an ordered list, and let me just start off, let me just give a heading saying that, wait, let me just change the title. First I'm changing it to movies. Yeah, now everything would make sense. Best movies oops I guess you can see over here. Yeah, now let me just start with an ordered list. Okay, now step 1, as you can see, OL starts the marks the beginning of the list, and now to list each item. Okay, like this, and let me just copy the name of the first movie, this show, and copy, and I paste it over here, and let me just copy a few more items over here, and let me, okay, this is a tedious not a best way. Once you guys are perfect with this and you start using code frameworks like Django or etc., all you need to do is put the data and put a loop and it will automatically do that. For now, let's try and understand the basics, because once you have strong basis, doing the for loop is a piece of cake. Okay, let me just stop it for now and show you guys. Okay, now you can see that it automatically started to put, yeah, now it looks better. I hope you can see the code. I just make it a little bit, I just zoom in on this section so that you can understand it better. Give me a second. So here is the OL and OL over here, li. So this is how an ordered list looks like. Now let us, so this is how you can list out your steps, you can list out your guidelines or how to follow, etc. So all of this lists are very important. In a similar manner, there is something called as unordered list. Suppose you want in the form of bullet points instead of 1, 2, 3. So that is UL, and the same way, let's say, can you guys think of anything? You can make your own list, but for now, I'm thinking about a few chocolates. Maybe movies are done. How about snacks? We need popcorns for movie, right? Okay, let's do that. I put a H2 and let's say movie time, snacks, and over here let's start adding popcorn. Let's add some soda, a little bit of popcorn, soda. How about anything left? What guys do you prefer? Let's say some juice and beer and juice. Now, as I just mentioned you, unordered list doesn't follow a specific pattern or doesn't label them. Instead, it's going to form it in a form of bullet points. So before I scroll down, okay, I already did scroll down. So I was asking you how to guess them. So this is how it's going to show up on the screen. Now all of this is a little bit zoomed in, so it might look a little bit huge, but once you get back to the normal size, it is very small. That was ordered list and unordered list. And let me end this session with the description list. We are not ending the list topic right now, but the session has taken a long time. We'll just end the description. We'll end with the description list. In the next topic, we are going to start off on how you can implement this. Okay, guys, try by the next session to try to implement this. This is basically an ordered list inside an ordered list, basically a nested ordered list. Try your best if you are able to, like nest one list inside the other. I'll just show you an example how this means. Okay, before that, let me just give you how the description list works. Instead of me manually typing all of that, let me just copy this part over here, and we are running out of time. We are not running out of time, guys. Basically, I want to wrap up this session because keeping the session too boring is too long, might be boring. So here is it, and here is how an description list looks like. Coffee, and it adds and it's like one after the other. Now I asked you guys if you can try this. I'll just give you a gist of how a list inside the list looks like. I just copied this list. So first there is a list. Inside this I'm going to add another list. I want to write an OL, and inside that let me just add this saying 1, 2. I hope you guys understood. Okay, 1, 2 already exist. Let me say A and B, and here you can put your content. So list inside a list is called nested list. In the next class, take a screenshot of this and try doing it yourself. The code is I will be sharing the code, or we'll be doing it in the next class. And in the next class, I'm going to show you the attributes. This is a page from Geeks for Geeks, and I will be showing you how you can use like filled solid circle or solid bullet point and how to make it empty. A lot about list attributes and a lot. I hope you understood until now. For any doubts or anything, please let me know in the next class, and we will start off with that. Thank you. Have a nice day. Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going to cover just 4 topics, out of which 2 play a major role. These 2 topics are very important, and especially the link which you can see everywhere, every website you go. Let me just give you an example. Let me just open Chrome. And let's open a new tab. Okay. Okay, this works fine. Let's say you can see all these things, right? And how do you think you can, like link this? Let me say I just want to go over here and look for this page. You can't say a person to go to this page. You have to link these 2 pages, right? So how does this is being implemented? We'll go through that. I'll show you with a very simple demo page which you're going to make, and so that would be very clear to you guys. And we would start off with where we left before. That would be list. A little more about the list. I'm not going to bore you much about it. I had already completed a long lecture on it, but this time
Just a small implementation of list and a description, and we'll be going on to important topics after that. Okay, I said that try to do this on your own, and I'll be showing you how to do this. So let me just begin to the code part. Hmm, let me just go to the code over here, and let me just create a new folder, name it as list.html, and as you know the drill, right, HTML5, and it gives you the or a boilerplate code for HTML, and let me just make it as this. So imagine I'm a developer, okay, and this is a website which I have to make. It contains the same exact things, okay. Oh, okay, let me just come back, and I want to design the entire thing. So what do? I have to just design this page. So as you can see, this looks bolder and larger. So what would you guys choose? Is it headings? Yeah, if we had chosen headings, then that would be correct. So let me start off with a heading h1, and with this pasted over here. So I would like to work with in such a way that I see my output most of the time. Let me just put it over here. Yeah, this looks far better. Every time I know what's happening and what are the things I have to make. So under this I had a list, right? Let me just put a h2 so that you guys can understand. Understanding that would be better. List. Okay, now let's see what it has for us. The first thing which we have is general aviation piston driven engines. So let us start with that. First I'm going to define a list. It's a ordered list OL. Inside that the first li contains general aviation, general aviation. Next we have inside general aviation we have another list. Okay, so how do I approach this? So there is a list inside a list. So what do? I also do the same thing like this, and another thing like this, which I have single engine aircraft. SINGL, single engine aircraft. Let me just put this over here. I hope you guys can see it's a little bit zoomed. Let me just try to, yeah, I guess now you guys can see better. And let us go back, and inside this there is another list. So a list inside a list inside a list. Okay, that sounds a little bit tricky, but it's such easy task. Okay, go inside, make a list, add an element. So what's inside that? We have a tail wheel. Tail wheel. Done. That's how you got this. Let me add another element like that, and that's a tricycle. Saying that it's a tricycle. So now we got one part of the list covered. So let's get on to the next one over here. So this has been done. Now let's add another li, and it's called dual engine. So we have done with single, so it's dual engine. Engine aircraft, and it has wing mounted engines. I don't know why I chose this. I could have gone with a very simple one instead of me manually typing all of this. Okay, it's not like that. Okay, I made a mistake. Let me just put it inside an OL so that it's easier. Okay, and I have to write it as wing mounted. Wing mounted. Okay, I did as I. Now let me add in what is the next one. It's push. Right, and it's called push pull blah 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 blah, something like that. Now you guys understood, right, how we can put list inside a list or in a form of a nested list. That is one topic. So we are done with list. Okay, you can always go to W3 schools, or you can go for Geeks for Geeks. You can go for an ordered list and ordered list, or however you find the list. So in this website you can, like, check everything about list, about how like you can add in a lot of how to add, use boxes, how to use the comments, how to use attributes, a lot about that, how you can use type none, which basically means there is no what do you say, bullet points, or you can see how to use different bullet points. Okay, this is the example which I have taken. So as you can see over here, they have just taken a list inside a list and put it in our way. So here you can come check out the code. You can, like, style your list in a different manner. So that is one part of the work which you have to do by yourself, so that you can get a better idea, because it is very troublesome to explain each and every type of style which can be done. Okay, so congratulations on making it out of list. Okay, so this is an example which I taken from their webpage, and this is how you can do that. Okay, now the important topic. This topic is a game changer when it comes to web development. Anchors. Anchors are basically how you can link one web page to another, or a web page within a web page. And what does it mean? We are going to learn how this happens now. So anchor can be used as source or destination, used for linking clickable images, links, social media links in URLs, etc. So let me just come back and give you live demonstrations on that. So the basic web page consists of a few things. The common things in all web pages could be, let me just check a web page, and that one can get an idea about a page. Let's say I want to go to pretty simple page, so that we can replicate, kind of make a mimic out of it. There is a road track which is always down, road track yeah. Okay, this seems to be a common thing. Okay, yeah, this would be perfect to explain how anchors work. So as you can see, each one is a link on which, if you click that, it will take you to that particular page. You can see over here it has changed to about us. If I just go back, it was over here, as you can see, it is get involved, go track club. So let's try to do this by using anchors, and while doing this we would be learning how all of this works. So let me just make a new folder to understand this, and name it as uh, link, so that let me just make it a web page, so that you would be well aware of how things are. So inside of web page we are going to create a folder called web page number 1, because this could be a complete web page which you're going to further develop and would give you insights on that. Inside that, let me have index.html. That would be basic for all our web pages. Inside index and we would be having, as you just saw, we'll be having about us,
dot html. Okay, and let me just check what all was there in the index.html. Home index would be our home. Contact us, contact.html. A few pages might have a gallery.html. Okay, now we are all done. In the future, if you're using a framework, you don't need to do the troublesome task of like writing the boilerplate for each code. If you're using some applications like Flask, if you're using some applications like Django, all of them would help you remove that part of writing all the troublesome code. For now, let me add the entire code by myself, do it manually. This would be our home page. Over here, let me do the same. HTML5, you know the drive, right? Drill how to do it. Okay, over here, let me make it as about us. About us. And over here at contact us, let's make it as contacts. Over here, let's try to add in images over here. That would be better. Over here, let's add, make it as gallery. And okay, now we have all these 4 pages, but they're not linked to one another. That is how we are going to link all of them together and make our very first complete web page. Starting off, let me just give it a heading h1, saying that okay, this is a web page. Welcome to your web page. You can give anything you want. Okay, now let us try to implement what we have just learned. Just now we have learned about list, and all these things can be put inside a list, right? Let's do that. Let me put a h2 and let's say services, or let me just make it even simpler, links to other pages. Okay, now let me just start a list. Next, let me just put in the first element. Yeah, I have to put it inside a href. Href is equals to now. This is very important, guys. How to link a web page. Let us say I want to include about us.html. So it is about us.html. Like this. And over here, you're going to write about us and close. Now, let's do this for the other pages as well. Copy this and let's change it to contact. Contact us at. Similarly, let's do the same page for gallery, gallery over here, and make this as gallery. Okay, now let me put in some things over here so that it doesn't render empty. Is the end one? Let us add some. Hey, welcome to the page. We are a team to help you learn HTML. something like that, and contact us, let us say contact at h1. Here are our contact informations. Let me just put some random gmail.com. Okay, how about I just got an idea. Let me just put it in a list instead of like making it a paragraph each time. Let me just make a list over here. That would be even better. List element number 1, it's xyz at email.com. These are random things which you might take. Let me just add in some number 444332211. Okay, over here let me just add a random image, so it serves the purpose of what it's doing. Image c is equals to let me just search up an image quickly for you guys. We started off with this. Let me just okay, this looks like a very good picture. Just copy it. Just copy paste the link over here and pray that it works, because sometimes if you copy images like this, there is a high chance that your images won't work. So the best approach would be always downloading the image over here. Okay, let's try if it works. If it doesn't, let's download the image. Okay, now hopefully all of this should be linked and working together. So let's try. If there are any errors that you would be facing or I would be facing, so if I face any errors, that would be because you would be learning from those errors which I make, or you would be facing the same error. So how I recognize it and solve it, you would also be able to do the same. So let me just open it with live server as usual. Let me just place it at my code. Okay, this is the best approach I always follow and I always recommend you guys to follow. Okay, now here's your web page, guys. Here's your first web page, I guess second web page, sorry. Yeah, I hope you guys were able to follow with the code. If you're not able to follow with the code, you can always slow down the video, pause, complete the code and then continue. Okay, it's all is how I want. Let me just click on about us. Will it take it to about us? Yes. Okay, our code is working successfully. Over here you can see the about us, but wait, we are kind of facing a problem. So I can't, if you want to go back, I have to click back over here, and you can't actually like it's taking you to another page in a same tab, making it difficult to navigate back. I guess the image didn't load, that's why it's necessary to download it over here. So the first bug or first approach which you can make a note of is that whenever you're dealing with images, make sure that you put them in the folder in which you're working, or else you would end up with this. So let me quickly do that. Now let me just quickly save this image. No, where is this? Yeah. Oops, I guess I made a mistake over here. Let me name it as something easier so that it's image. This should be this issue. Let me solve this issue first. Let me just go to gallery and remove this. I removed a little bit too much. Okay, it's easy. You guys remember that image src and I am whiz.avf and close. Okay, now every page of this is linked. But now the main task. How can you make sure that the user need not come back to this page again and again without using these arrow marks? There are two ways of doing this. One way is that all of your pages should contain a way to come back to home page. So let's go with that approach first. I will teach you another important, very easy approach, but let us learn about this approach as well. Let me just copy paste this part of the code, come to about us, and it will be always mostly in the top right. So let me just put it over here, and okay, here. And let's remove index. Let's put here and put home. Okay, let's do the same for the other pages as well. Like this, and let's, okay, we are at contact us, so let's just remove contact us from the list. Okay, now let's copy this. Okay, we missed about us over here. Wait, so this is how you have to do. This is a very difficult and cumbersome task. Okay, we are in contact us. Over here I just add this. I'm just adding the links, guys. All you have to do is put a href index.html. Here is going to be your .html extensions, and here you're going to name them. So it's not very difficult. All you have to do is copy this and paste it in another thing. Same goes for gallery over here. Let me just copy this from, copy the entire list, come to gallery, paste the entire list. As we already are in gallery, you don't need to go to gallery. So let me just remove that, and let me just copy the contactors because that is what was missing. And let me place it over here. Okay, now everything is done. If I go to about us, we have a place where you can go back home. Okay, this website doesn't look that pretty right now, or doesn't look so amazing, but now we have just learned HTML, the very basics. As we learn CSS and JavaScript, we can add in a lot more functionality and design to our web pages. We are going to learn about how you can put your nav bar over here, which is basically how you'll be making it in an ordered manner. Next, you're going to learn about how you can add icons where you can put a telephone number or a Gmail box over here. That all would be in the CSS part, which is going to be coming up very shortly. So make sure you watch that. Okay, now we have all our web pages linked over here. But let's say that you want to make that it opens in a new tab every time. So every time you click on a link, it should open in a new tab. So that is very easy. That is one approach in which you can, like, reduce adding a lot of things. Okay, and it will be very easy for the user because he is in two different tabs. So what you do when you're in href over here, you need to just add a one line of code, one word, that's target equals and blank. Let's do this again for all of this. Target equals blank. Okay, now this is what you're going to see. I'm at the home page. Okay, I did it for the gallery page. Okay, let me just go to gallery page. That is better. So let me just click on the home page. Now, as you can see, there are two tabs over here. That is one over here and one over here. So the advantage of doing this is that the user can come back to the page in which he was already there and then can switch between two things. Okay, now, okay, let me just finish it off with another example of how you can use href for how to link things. It's already taking a lot of time, I know, so let's cover the other topics which we had, which was, today I thought of covering tables and introduction to user input. Let's keep it in another video. Let me just complete this. So let's say this are how you link pages between your all your web pages. Let's say you wanted to link to another or someone else's web page. So how do you do that? Let's say I want to link it to Google's web page, right? So let me just do google.com. Okay, this is Google's web page. Let me just copy this. Let me just copy the address, come to our index.html, and let's just add in another page. Let's say another h3, saying that if you want to go to Google, click me. Okay, and let's enclose it. Okay, if I just reduce this so that you can see I have just added a h3 and wrote over here. Let me just put a tag, let's say a href, and paste the address over here, and let's just copy the a from here and place it over here. Okay, hopefully everything works just fine. We are in index.html, so let me just click. Okay, ta-da! Now you can go to Google's web page. Okay. So let me just make, as I said earlier, let me just put a target equals blank, and now, okay, I've just added target equals blank, and now if I click on this web page, it is going to take me to Google's web page or Google's home page. So in the similar manner, here you can put as many or as links as you want, so that you can visit others web page from your web page. If the customer or the client wants to go to another web page for the references, he can use this particular way of doing it. Just one more thing about href, and we'll be wrapping up this session very soon. Let's say I want to link between two things. Let's say I just type in a paragraph of let me just copy an essay from Google itself. You have Google over here, Google essay examples. Okay, I don't need an entire essay to work with this. Let me just copy the entire thing over here, whatever is written. So I just did was copy paste this. Let me just check. Let me just show you what how web page looks like. Okay, so I just have a page over here. Let's say if I click on pages, it should point me over here. How do I do that? Let's say I have a span. Okay, here Google is over here. Let me just put a span. As you guys know, span is an inline element. Span, I give it a class, or let me just give it an id. Id equals Google, like this, and close it. Let me just put, I just added a span over here. Span id equals Google, and let me just close this span. Yeah, nothing has changed. Now okay, now let me say that if I click H1, it should help me link to our Google, or it should take me to Google. So this basically works in things such as, let's say I click on learn more. No, not this. Let me give a better demonstration what I wanted to show. Let's go to Wikipedia. That would be a go-to thing because that is the basic web page. And let me just search something. I'm not able. Let's say, mm, let's search for body types or something. Okay. So let me just open anything. Let me just open body of water, anything. Let's just open. Okay. Here you guys can see, right? Like if I click on this, it takes me to a page. And if I click on anything, it's going to take me to a page over there. How do you get that done? And so let me just show you a quick demonstration of that. Here is an example for that, which is easier. So I just put a href over here like this, as you can see, the similar manner. So I have to just link this now. Just to come over here and put a href, saying that it should go to hashtag. It should go to hashtag whatever this ID name. Let's wait. The ID name over here was Google, and let me just close this, cut and paste it over here. Okay, so what I have done, I have just put a href for the heading, which is welcome to your page, and I have made a span over here. In that span, ID equals Google. So let me just show you how it works. Okay, now if I click over here, it should take me to Google. It is doing the same thing. I'll just give you another view. If I click welcome to your page, it is taking me to where Google is over here. So this can be very helpful if you have links in between your documents or in between a single page. So let's say a user is at start of the page and there's a lot of text, and then there is a place over here which you want to quickly go. So that is possible by using such type of links. So here I would like to wrap up this session on how you can use hrefs or anchor tags to link between pages, to link between web pages, to link in between your own web page, to link between different web pages, and to link to other web pages as well. So remember guys, this is very important because you'll be using href in a variety and many ways between how you can link all your pages together. So understanding this concept was very much important. In the next video, we would be going ahead. You can always remember, you can always go through all of this whenever you're free, or whenever it's possible, or whenever you need additional support to learn this. In the next video, we will be covering tables and various input informations. Okay, tables might not be that important because you can learn it easily, but when it comes to getting information from the user, now especially now, getting information from the user is very important. Like you want to take in a login information, let's go to any basic web page. Okay, let's say I just go to Geeks for Geeks, yeah, a very popular web page. As soon as I go over here, it will ask me most of the time to sign in, or let's say I want to sign in. Okay, it's asking me to sign in. Okay, it asks you to sign in, so you're going to enter your name, you're going to enter your password, you're going to enter your email, and it's going to sign in. So how does the server gets this information, how the pre-processing is done, and how the user input or user data is taken in? So all this we will be learning in the next video on how to take in user data or user input, and how in the next video after learning JavaScript, that is not now but when you're going to learn JavaScript, I'm going to show you how this login page actually works in real time, so that you would have a better idea and better feel of how these things work behind the backend servers and how the company manages all of this. For now, thank you. Let's meet in the next session. Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going to cover two topics, and by this video we would be completing our very basics of HTML. In the next video we'll start about a simple project around 1 hour of where we develop our very own very unique web page, which will be in the next video. But in today's video we are going to complete tables, which is a very small topic. It might be needed when you want to represent data like this of a company, and it is a required skill if you're it's a needed skill if you're working with where you want to display the data in a form of tables or in the form of tabulation. So tables allows the user to arrange the data in rows and columns. Each tag starts and ends with a table. So this is how table tag works. First you have a table tag where the table starts. Next you have a table row which defines the table row. Next for that we have two types of options to fill in. One is the heading and one is the data. So let's have a quick hands-on session on this to understand tables. So let me come back to our Visual Studio Code and let me create a table.html file. Okay, once opening this, let's do the boiler code drill and let me just rename it as table. So over here I tried to replicate this table, and let's start off. As you can see, there is a basic HTML table, SN branch section 1 2 CSE EC A and B. So let me just break it down. This would be a heading because it's bold and highlighted. H1, it says basic HTML table. Okay, and then here is where our table starts. In that, as mentioned, first we need to create a row. Inside a row we have headings. One is S number, another th called branch, another th called as S number, branch, I guess section. Was it section? Yeah. Okay. As always, let me just open this in so I know what I'm doing. Sorry, over here. Yeah. Okay. Now let me fill and let me just make another row. Inside that, let me put data for that. So what is the difference between TD and TH is that TH, the headings are much bolder and center aligned compared to the TD or the data elements. So I just show you that. So TD and 1 TD CHC branch computer science and education, computer science engineering, TD and let's say A, section A. Now let me just copy paste this part again over here. Let me just name it to 2, and here it would be E, and this is section B. So this is how our table looks. Let me just add a border so that it looks more like a table. Over here, let me just add a border equals to 1. Okay, now it looks more like a table, right? So this is how you can develop or you can make your tables. It is important. It can be used in various ways in which how you can represent data. So this was about tables. You can always refer W3 schools where you can find a lot about tables over here on different types and how to make the tables look prettier and better. The borders, size, headers, padding. And this is another important thing: column span and row span. Suppose you want a column span and the row span in such a way, you can use column span to name like this. Suppose this is how the name is a little bit larger and it has a first name, last name. This is how you're going to use column span, and this is a row span over here. So these are a few things which you can read, and there is about styling your page on how you can make it look better by applying colors to specific pages or specific columns over here. One, it's very difficult to explain each and every form of styling, so I would suggest you to, whenever the need arises, to come to W3 schools and have a look on what you want. So that would be very much helpful. So guys, we are done with tables. Now this is one topic. After covering this, we would have been completed the basic of HTML so soon. Yep, we have completed all the basics of HTML and we are ready to go with our new language or new topic, that is CSS. Before going to that, I would like to uh, make a small project with you guys. It's like a very small mini project, basics on what all you have learned of HTML. So once we are done with that, we would be heading on to CSS. So once we're done with that, you can wish yourself congratulations and tap yourself on the back that we have covered HTML in such a short period of time. Now this topic is going to end up until the very last of your course. That is HTML forms. HTML forms is basically how you're going to take in the user input or how you're going to make changes to your web page depending on the user input. So this is going to stay from now until the very end of the course. So have a note and please make sure you understand this topic very clearly. So what are forms? Forms are used to collect data from the user. The user input is often sent to the server for processing. The form element is used to create the forms for the user. It is a container of different elements, text field, text boxes, radio buttons, etc. These are on what depends on what type of input you want to take. So let's start running them. So this is how you declare, or this is how you're going to use a form input type. There is an input text, there is an input type radio, there is an input type checkbox, there is an input type submit, and input type button. And a label tag for all these inputs, we'll be learning them with a hands-on session. So let me start from here. Let us say that I want to create a login form or the login page for my web page. So you guys remember the web page we were creating last time, right? Let me just let me just move this and let me just open the index.html which we had created last time. Okay, so I want to create a login page for our web page. So how do I do that? So I just create a new HTML file over here saying it's login.html and let's do the boilerplate code, make it as login. Okay, now let's start working on it. Now let's start working over here. Starting off, let's give a heading. Let's say log in this, and then let's start off with understanding this. We need to input a few things. Let's say we want to input the username. So how do we do that? So let's say a form over here, and let's say, okay, I was saying about labels, right? So as input type doesn't actually show up as anything else, it's important that we use a label for each and everything. So let's say label for f f name, that is first name, is f name, and let me just take the input type text and close it over here. So as you can see over here, as soon as I come, it has created a, oh, let me just make it better for you. So create this now. Yeah. So as you can see, it has created a text box where I can enter things. For now, it's not going to do anything if I hit enter, because I have not linked any form of server or anything else. But as we learn about JavaScript in the later videos, I will be showing you how you can process this information and how we'll be ready to make a very good page in which you can store information and kind of make changes to it. Okay, after the first name we would be needing the last name, so let me just put a break. You guys remember BR, right? That stands for break in the line, and let me just put a label for that. Label for equals to, let's keep it last name. Last name, first name, and let me just put in this thing over here. Okay, now we got two spaces over here. We're going to first the first name, the last name, and let me just give another BR so it looks better. Yeah, as you can see over here. Now, if the first name and last name being done, let's say you're asking the user for his phone number. So another BR, I use a label for equals phone number, and let me just use, and let's say phone number, and let's take the input, and let me just number, ID is number. Okay, now over here, as you can see, if I try, like over here, I can enter the number, and there is an option where you can increase and decrease the number. This. Now, what else could you think? Yeah, we could take in an email ID. Let's do that. Let me just copy this so it is easier. Like this, and make it email over here as well as email. And let me just make this as email too. So here, as you can see over here, you can start putting your email addresses. Let's say at gmail.com, etc. Let's say you want the user to have something over here, like the user gets a very vague idea about what to fill. That also is possible by putting value equals Joe, as you have seen in most web pages. So here you can see that you have Joe over here. Once the user clicks on this, he can delete that and type his own things. Or instead of making it a value, a better way would be using placeholders. Okay, the placeholder, and make it as Joe. As you can see now, as soon as the user clicks on this, Joe would always be there, but the user knows what he or she has to do in this particular form. Okay, now we learned about creating first name or taking text input, taking phone numbers, taking email input. So let's see what all we have got. So we are done with this. Okay, this is important. Let's say we are asking for what is the gender. Okay, there are many types of uh, gender, but let's say we are asking basic genders for right now. We have two options, that is male and a female. Let me just, okay, over here. Let me just copy this part of the code. Okay, let me just type and show you so it's better you understand each and everything. Okay, so now I want to take the input in the form of radio buttons. So let me take the input over here. So input type radio. Okay, let me just give a BR over here so it looks neat. Another BR. Okay, and let me just put in a label over here saying label. Enter your, okay, choose your gender. And let me just put a BR. As you can see, as I mic changes over here, you can see over here. Okay, so let me just try to give you understanding of this code. The input type is the radio button, the ID is male, the name is gender, the value is male, label for that would be male. Similarly, the input type is equals to radio, ID is female, the name, make sure that the name in both is same, or else let's say suppose I just make it as something else, and over here if I do this, the user can set both male and female, which doesn't make sense. So always when you're keeping the name, make sure that both of them are the same. Okay, so we have learned about radio buttons. Let's see what we got next. Next we have checkboxes. What are checkboxes? Let's say in a web page or you're designing a page where the user is made to select between different types of cars or what are vehicles does he have. So this is important and let's try to understand this code as well. Let me just put it over here. Let's understand the part of code. Okay, from here. Let me just put a key tag so that we know here it starts. Let's say choose your vehicle. Okay, let's start to understand this part of code. All the code are very simple and easy, and the only thing which varies in most of them is in the input type, and rest all would always be the same. So it starts with input type equals checkbox, ID is equals to vehicle, name is equals to vehicle, value is equals to bike. So type is checkbox, ID is vehicle. So to make this box appear, we have to put in the type as checkbox, the ID as vehicle 1, the name as vehicle, and value as bike. Similarly, for that I need a label that says that I have a bike. So the label for vehicle 1 is I have a bike. Similarly, let's say I want to do this for this. So first let's create the input type. Input is a checkbox and the ID is vehicle 2, the name is vehicle 2 and the value is of a car. So what is the purpose of this value? So once we learn about the backend processing, or once you start learning about backend processing, this is the value which is going to be passed to the server for processing. That's why the value is important. So we have learned about checkboxes. Let's go ahead. And once all of this is done, you have to submit it, right? You have always seen the login or sign in button. So that is implemented by this. That is input type is equal to submit. At the end of all of this, let me just put it over here, which says input. Like this, and let me just put a BR so that it looks neat and clean. Over here we have a submit button. So here we have a first name, last name, phone number, email, choose your gender, choose your vehicle. So as you can see, our login page with extra initial information is being created. for understanding of our topics. Now the submitted data is allowed in this particular manner. Okay, we're not taken the very important thing. What is that, guys? See, in login page, we have to consider another very important thing which you have missed. That is the passwords. So passwords are very, very important, and here is the way in which you can take that. So let's say I don't know how to take in the password. So what I do, I just take a label and put it as passwords. Now I'm wondering how to take the input. So what is a normal person do? Input. You try type, which is all same, and here let's try password. Does it work? Let's see. Over here you have a way where you can enter passwords. Automatically these appear as like masked digits so that no one around you can check your passwords, which is a very helpful feature. So here's a login page. Okay, let's check on what is the next thing we would be taking. Now we have different types of inputs, that email, URL, range, submit, reset. All of them you can obviously go through. I have given a very nice example where you can create this type of a login page. The code is in the script, or the code is in the document. I'll make it available to you guys. So once you have gone through this, it's basically all the same. You just type in input, type is equals to URL, name is equals to URL, and ID is equals to URL. So instead of like putting input type is where most of the changes occur. So have a look on this and try to create this type of website. So as you can spot, there is a label over here, and there is an input, a label and input. This is called a text area, not a text box. I'll just show you what it is in a very quick manner, so that let's say I just create a label meaning text box, and let me just type input type is equals to text box, and let's say column is equals to 5, this, and okay, rows and columns both need to be mentioned. And over here I'm going to just make it as text area instead of text box, text area, and let me put it as this, like this. Okay, I guess I made a small mistake somewhere. So text area opens here, type is text box. Okay, let me just try removing this and closing the text area. Looks like I have committed a small error somewhere. It is text area, the rows is 4, and it's over here. It is basically doing some kind of, okay, here let me just put a BR. Yeah, now it looks more better. And let me just make it a little bit even better. Let me just put a BR, another BR, like this, and one BR over here. Okay, so this is how you put in a text box for the user to enter a little bit. Let's say the user wants to enter a paragraph about why he wants to join a company, or let's say the user wants to provide comments or some sort. So that would be helpful. And next we'll be heading on with this, and you can create your menu over here. And next, using field set legends. These two topics are not that much necessary. I'll be giving you a brief example on them. Let's say you want to use a field set and legend. I'll just show you to W3 schools and show you how a field set and legend works. The name itself suggests how they are. They are very common topics, so knowing about them is very good and necessary. So let's say I want to create it same like our login page but with very little information. So let's say I want this box to appear over my login page and I want to sit over here. So how I start off with a field set over here, field set, and then say like this. Over here, and let's say field set, and I'm going to put in the legend. So let me just copy this so that you will understand what I mean by the same thing. Instead of making it appear as login, let's put the entire thing over here like this. And let me just remove this and put login over here. So this is how you can use field set and legend in your web page to make it look more what do you say, that's more attractive to the user. We will be learning CSS and making it even more attractive, but for now this is how you're going to use a legend and a field set. Okay, let's come to our next topic. Okay, I might be going a little bit too quick. If at all you feel that the video is a little bit too fast, you can watch it at a lower pace, and if you feel that I'm going a little bit too slow, you can obviously watch it at a higher pace. There is an option of 1.5 2x, and there's also an option of 0.5 and 0.75. Okay, now the fun part. Let's say you want the user to be able to play videos, or you want the users to be able to play audio clips on their web page. So how do you do that? It is very important, it is very necessary. Like you're making a, let's say you're building the next YouTube and you want your audio to be heard, or you want your video to be rendered. That is done by two tags, the audio tag and the video tag. We'll be learning about both of them in this thing. So let's say I want to add in an audio file over here. Let me just close all of this and come down over here and say audio like this audio, and we're going to follow with attributes. Here is a quick example. So let me just put audio controls equals control. So why is this audio controls equals controls? As you can see, it's already started to form a few things over here. Let me just put in a break and break. Yeah, now it works fine. Do not close the field set tag. Now as you can see, we have got a play button. Now once I add any form of audio by using the source src in this manner, currently let's just try over here. That is how you can play a song or a audio clip from your place. So you can remove this controls part. If you remove this controls, the user won't be able to control that, and audio would automatically start playing on its own. That might be not that welcoming for a user, but that is one way in which you can handle things. Similarly, you can do it for making it play videos as well. The command is the same, or the tag is the same. You can, yeah, now this is an example where I can show. So the I'm going to start off with video. Width is equals to and height is equals to, and controls is controls, preload, controls, and play. This is how you're going to make your video. So let me just show you that. I am going to basically make a video tag, close it over here, and I'm going to write source, and make it like this. So as you can see, these are the way in which you can represent audio and video tags. I guess it's not able to render because of some reasons. No worries, in the next video I'll keep 2 videos and audio files ready in advance, but we can come back to this topic. Any more topics left for you guys? Okay, congratulations, you have officially completed all the basics of HTML you would be requiring. Any other response or any other further topics which I would have left out, we would be covering it in the further sections of CSS and JavaScript or Bootstrap. It may be topics like class IDs, which I have not touched upon too much, because you'll be learning it again and again in CSS and JavaScript. So it's better I teach them then rather than teaching it now, and you keep like remembering the same topic and again. So it's better I teach you doing CSS for now. Congratulations on making it up to this part. We have completed all the basics of HTML. In the next video, we are going to start off with a very simple and unique project where we are going to cover all the topics which we have learned in the HTML sections up until now, and we are going to make a very attractive, responsive, amazing web page in the next video. So thank you guys. See you then. Hey guys, welcome back. In today's session, we will be learning about the audio and video tag. In the last session, I had just given a brief about the audio and video tag. Today, I will be executing them over here. So here I have my boilerplate code for the HTML or the about example.html, and here is the render page. So here I'm going to write audio over here, and let me just give you the controls equals controls, because controls, this provides the user to control the audio. Controls equals controls in this, and let me just close the audio tag. Inside I'm going to write the source src equals, so I would be requiring a audio file over here. Let me quickly just add that. I would have, yeah, it's in the projects. Now let me just add a quick audio and video file. Audio and a simple video file to my desktop, and let's add that to the projects folder. Into the HTML. Over here, I guess now we can see that. Okay, it's in project 1. Just give me a minute guys, let me just put it back. It's in project 1 over here and over here. Okay, now I have added the audio and video file. So I hope, yeah, now they're over here. Source equals Let me just put this over here and close and refresh this. Yeah, now you can see after refreshing that we got our audio input over here. As you can hear it playing. So this is how we are going to provide the user with audio controls. Similarly, we can do that for the video controls tag. It is video controls equals controls, and let me just quickly add a source to it. Source equals, I have intro source src equals intro.mp4. This, let me just make this a little bit width equals 500 pixels, and let height equals auto. Now the page would look much easier. Yeah, so this is how we add an audio and a video tag to our page. So I hope this was a very easy to go tutorial about how you can add video and audio to your web page. This would play an important role when you are working with web pages where you want to show in let's say you want to show how to cook a recipe, or where you have to deal with audios in your web page. Thank you, and in the next video we'll start off with our project 1 of HTML. I hope everyone is excited for that. It's a very important and interactive session, so I hope that you would all learn from that. Thank you. Hey guys, welcome back. Today in this session we will be making our very first project. In this project we are going to make use of all the knowledge we have gained in our HTML course to create a very beautiful web page. We will try our best to make it more attractive. Although we have not yet learned CSS, Cascade and Styling Sheets, we will make our project look very better once we start learning CSS. For now, let's focus on the HTML or the core of the web page and let's start. So what are portfolio websites? As you can see, these websites are a few examples of the portfolio website of a few people. As you can see, they have their projects, they have the info, they have the contact, and you can see over here there is uh, a lot of a project which have been done. There are repos and you can click on the links, and so these websites showcase how you have built or how much you know about web development and are very important to have a portfolio website. So let's start learning to build these websites from our knowledge on HTML. So let's begin. Let's switch to Visual Studio Code. Let me just create a new ways to add things, and it will be project 1. Let me add a, always start off with the index page HTML, how the industry standards work. Let me just make a HTML 5 and let me change it to my page. So most of the portfolio websites you see would have few things in common. One would be a home page, 2 would be a projects page, 3 would be an about us, about me, or an info page, and 4 or 5 would be the contact page where you can contact them through various links. So let's start building these ones. So one, we have an index page. Next we are going to have a
info.html page. Next, we are going to have a contact.html page. Next, the important one, those are the projects.html page. Let's Let me just increase the font size so that it's visible to everyone. I guess now it is more visible to everyone. Okay. Now after that, let me just do the same thing. Let me just copy this to all of the pages like this and like this. Okay, and let's just rename a few things over here. Over here it's info. Here it is contact, and here projects. Okay, now we have our setup for the projects folder. Now let's start working on our project from here on. In the index.html page, there should be links to visit these pages. So let's start. Let me just run this index.html by open server. Okay, now you can see over here. Let me start off with a heading. Says hello guys, welcome to my page, like this. Next, let's now that is done, let me put a h2. Let me just how about let me just start putting. Okay, let's see what people have put in their web page so we get a better idea. Over here, let's put in the name. Okay, just Nutan. I'm a web developer and Python web developer for now, and ML intern. Yeah, this looks like a pretty simple web page. It's not too complex or not too maybe just a very small page. And okay, now next, we have not added any type of CSS. We are just making it a very simple page. Next, let me just add an unordered list UL. You guys remember UL, right? Unordered list UL, and in that, let's link all of them, being starting off with the info, and let this be in a href stating the info.html. Now let's copy this and just add in, and let that be equals to after info you can have the projects,
After projects, you can have the contacts.html. Let me just make changes to these. This is PRO projects, this, and here you can make it as contact contact me. Okay, looks kind of a web page. Now what we have to do is just copy this to all the web pages. No, let's wait. Okay, here are our web pages. So it's basically a very small web page like this. So when you can go to these contact me over here. Okay, now let's start off with the info. Here you can write in about yourself. Let's say, hey guys, I am Nutan. Web applications and how to make them. Okay, this much be more than enough. Let me just make it h2 rather than h1, and let me close this off over here. Let's make it as h3, opening over here, and let's do this. Okay, now let's go to the info part. Okay, this has been done over here. You can add in your pictures, or you can add in the images of yourself and make it more attractive to the person. For now, let's keep it very simple and let's continue with our thing. So at the last, we would like the person to go back. So this would be necessary to add this and this, and make sure you remove this projects link and make remove that. Add one for index.html so that the person can go back home to the home page, not home. Home page. So that is done. So now the person can switch between the home page and the info page. Now let us come to projects page. Okay, in the projects, when you're building websites, the project space is very important, as the person would be looking in this particular field to get information about you. So let's go to the projects page. Start off with a h1, saying that here are my projects. So as projects are an ordered list and they can have links, let's make them like that. So it is a UL, or let's make it an OL. Let's make it an OL, and let's start with LI. So let's say the first project you have done could be a very simple, um, what do you say, time or clock, and you could have done weather app. You could have done a calculator. You could have completed a, what is the, a few more examples, like could have made an AI bot, and you could have done something related to image classification. So many things like that. So these could be your projects. If you come to project space, as you can see, the project page has started to load up, and once these are there, you can add links to them, so that once you click over here to take you to the GitHub repository of where you kept your project and showcase that. So over here also we will just copy the things from here and let's add it over here. We need the home page, we need the info page, we need the contact page. Projects page can be removed and makes complete sense, right? Oops, I guess I made a mistake over here, and this should be projects. Projects, okay. So we got our, it looks pretty much very basics and it is very basic web page as well, but we are still learning things and we are learning about how to use HTML. So these are the ways in which people start off with building their web pages. It might be very simple. Now, how about let's add a background color to it. Style, and let's say background color to be, let's say, a little bit of this. Let's go to the info. Okay, now looks a little bit better, and let's make the this to be a different color. We can do that. Let's copy this color to everywhere. Now let's come to the home page. At the home page you can do the same thing by saying style equals to and paste this. Okay, you the page looks a little bit nice and better than a simple white page. You can add pictures over here of your projects. Over here, especially when you come to the project session, you can add pictures of your project over here. Let me just make the same for this. Yep, and that's kind of the project or your web page taking. We are taking baby steps and we are still making a great progress. So you can have a tap on your back. Congratulations. Okay, now this part has been done. Now we have still a lot to do. So we have a page which takes us to, let's go back to the home page. We have a contact me page. Okay, over here we are going to use a unordered list to give links for your GitHub repo, for your, let's say, Stack Overflow, and you guys might be familiar with lead code if you have been practicing for DSA. And let's give our Instagram handles, LinkedIn handles. Okay, now let's go to the contact me page, and here you can see things have started to take place. Once you can link your GitHub, Stack Overflow, lead code, Instagram, LinkedIn handles over here by using the href tag, so that you can do that. And let me just copy the parts which are required. This, okay, we don't need the contact me page. Let me just remove that, and let's add info page from some place, let's say over here. Let's just copy the info page and paste it over here. Okay, now we have the home page, projects info. Let's go back to the home. So this is how we started off our project 1, where we have built a very basic application, basic web page where you can see about it, and for projects contact me. In the future we will be working on this web page and making it more and more attractive and more responsive,
that any person who will be visiting our web page can, it could be mesmerized by how beautiful the web page is. So that's all for today, guys. This was a very quick session where you could use a lot of your skills. Now you can start by adding an image of yourself over here, by applying image and making it a circle, by using the border size options. You can do a lot more. I would be teaching you the very basics and would be letting you to explore the further things. So thank you, guys. See you in the next class. We'll be starting to learn our CSS journey and making this a little bit more and more attractive than just a few words on the screen. We make it more attractive and more, a little bit more dynamic. So let's get back in the next session where we start off with CSS. Thank you, guys. See you next time.